Cristiano, ¿qué? Ahora 5 y a dormir, ¿eh? Cristiano, 5 ¿qué?
Llorar, a llorar, a Turín, a llorar. Ya está, 2-0, ni manita ni nada, 2-0 y fuera.
The stadium lights burned white over Turin. 40,000 voices crashed together like thunder. But one man stood apart, Cristiano Ronaldo. Chest out, eyes sharp, a storm behind his calm face. 2 weeks earlier, Atletico Madrid had humiliated him because for them, Ronaldo wasn't just a rival, he was a curse. Year after year, he stole their finals, crushed their dreams, haunted them like a shadow they could never escape. So when they beat Juventus 2-0 in a Champions League match, they mocked him, they taunted him, they danced on what they thought was his grave. But tonight, the story was his to write. Because Cristiano Ronaldo has never been just a footballer. He has been a nightmare, a tormentor, a force of nature that refuses to die. And on this night, he came not to survive, not even to win. He came to destroy. This is the story of how Cristiano Ronaldo took revenge on Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone. You see, being one of the greatest footballers to have ever existed, it is no surprise that Ronaldo has so many haters. But you won't find many groups who hate the Portuguese legend as much as the Atletico Madrid fan base. He terrorized their club so many times in different competitions and took 2 Champions League titles from them. Of course, they hate him. So anytime Atletico Madrid managed to one-up Ronaldo, it was always an amazing, triumphant feeling for them fans. It was like they reached climax each time that happened. But unfortunately for them, in February 2019, they climaxed way too early. And that, ladies and gentlemen, produced one of the greatest revenge stories in football history. See, Cristiano is a force of nature on his own, but when he was at Real Madrid, he was on a completely different level. He had good players around him, great coaches, a good system, great fan base, and a smart management. So it was no surprise he was often on top of the world while wearing the white of Madrid. But when he went out on his own in 2018, all his haters thought he was now vulnerable without the protection of one of the biggest clubs in the world. So they reckoned it was the best time to finally get their lick back for all the years he made them suffer. And, as the gods of football would have it, in the first Champions League knockout stage in Ronaldo's first season after Real Madrid, he was drawn with one of the biggest enemies from his past, Atletico Madrid. They were a team which had been together for years and had progressively gotten better and stronger under the same management, so they were always going to be a real threat for absolutely any team at all. Of course, it was their goal to make it as far as they could in the UEFA Champions League. But beating Cristiano Ronaldo on the way was going to be the icing on the cake. It was the little extra motivation they needed to get it done. And well, they started the journey perfectly. The first leg was in Madrid, and it was very tight. This was a battle between 2 teams who were masters at defending. Juventus set up in a 4-3-3 formation, which sometimes had Dybala dropping down to the midfield. Meanwhile, Atletico set up in a 4-4-2 shape. So between the 2 teams, there was hardly any space at the center of the park. Cristiano Ronaldo was on fire that day, completing 7 dribbles, creating 2 chances, and winning 11 duels, but he was just unable to get a goal despite his 7 attempts. Eventually, it was Atletico who found a way through, scoring 2 goals from set pieces in a space of 5 minutes and taking a relatively significant advantage to the second leg. In fact, that night in Madrid, the Atletico supporters and players celebrated like the tie was over. But amidst all of the hullabaloo, someone took it too far. You see, VAR had not exactly been kind to Atletico Madrid in this game. The referee awarded them a penalty in the first half after Diego Costa went down in the box. But VAR said the contact happened outside the box and made the referee change the decision to a free kick. Then, in the 70th minute, Morata put the ball in the back of the net, but VAR called the referee to the pitch side monitor, and he ended up disallowing the goal for a nearly negligible push on Chiellini. So when Jimenez scored in the 78th minute and the goal actually stood, Diego Simeone was overcome with emotion. In the heat of the moment, Simeone took his excitement too far and produced a pretty obscene celebration, as if to say the referees, Juventus, Cristiano Ronaldo and everyone else can go to hell. He was the king now. Someone certainly didn't forget that. To rub salt on the wound, Atletico Madrid fans decided to taunt Cristiano Ronaldo specifically after the match. They were so happy they had finally one-upped him, so they thought it wise to tease him. He replied to them there and then by telling them he had won 5 Champions League titles while they had none. But that was not really Ronaldo's style. He preferred to reply to trolls and haters on the pitch, so he began to prepare for that. In the press conference before the game, he assured the Juventus fans that a comeback was possible.
Is there something you'd like to say to our fans before the game?
Well, what I want to say, it's Tuesday night. Let's thinking positive. Let's believe it's possible, but need your help. Make the stadium good, beautiful. Be everything together, everyone together, and we need your help.
He urged them to believe and to do their part by making the stadium beautiful and lively. But Atletico Madrid weren't fazed. When they travelled to Turin with their 2-goal advantage, they were sure the game was going to be straightforward. And who can blame them? Coming into this game, Atletico Madrid had not conceded a single goal in the previous 5 games in all competitions. They had also kept 4 clean sheets in their previous 7 UEFA Champions League matches. On top of that, Juventus had never overturned a 2-goal first-leg deficit in UEFA Champions League history. So you could actually see where their confidence was coming from. There was just no way they could possibly throw away their 2-goal advantage and get knocked out by Juventus of all teams. No way. But a certain Portuguese had other ideas that night. This time around, Allegri decided to switch things up with the Juventus setup, going for a 3-4-1-2 formation as opposed to the regular 4-3-3. Diego Simeone, meanwhile, seeing as the 4-4-2 had worked in the first game, decided to stick with it. The game started with Juventus on the front foot, as expected, and they even managed to put the ball in the back of the net as early as the 4th minute. But Chiellini's goal was disallowed because Ronaldo was judged to have fouled Jan Oblak. An early goal would have been the perfect way to begin the comeback for Juventus, but it just wasn't to be. As the game progressed, Atletico got more comfortable in their shape. The old lady kept on knocking while Los Colchoneros continued to keep their shape and compactness. But in the 24th minute, Atletico Madrid decided to break the norm and mount an attack of their own. After stringing a few passes in the midfield, the ball was laid nicely to Griezmann, who then sent in a powerful cross into the box. Morata rose high and connected with it, forcing a crucial save from Szczęsny, but eventually the flag went up for offside. A couple minutes later, Juventus were back on the front foot. In the 27th minute, Morata misplaced a headed pass in the midfield which fell very kindly for Emre Can. He quickly passed the ball to Federico Bernardeschi, who carried the ball into the left side of attack, and then sent in a brilliant cross into the Atletico box. Guess who was there? Of course it was Cristiano Ronaldo. He came from behind Juanfran and with a huge leap and some impressive flexibility, he managed to get his head to the ball and tucked it past Oblak. 1-0 to Juventus on the night, 2-1 to Atletico on aggregate. Now it was definitely game on. That was definitely a scare, but Atletico managed to remain tight for the rest of the first half, still taking an advantage into half-time. If they managed to not concede in 45 minutes, they would be okay. If they conceded one more, they'd still be in it. So it wasn't a bad place to be at all. But Juventus had momentum on their side. And more importantly, they had Cristiano Ronaldo. Well, it didn't really matter, right? If Atletico could just soak in pressure for the first 10 minutes of the second half, they should be good, right? Well, wrong. Very wrong. Just 3 minutes into the second half, Thomas Lemar, under no pressure at all, decided to try a crossfield ball to Santiago Arias. Unfortunately for him, he made an absolute mess of it, and the ball fell nicely to Cristiano. The former Man United man quickly sent the ball to Spinazzola, who was running down the left flank. The Italian twisted and turned and passed the ball back to Pjanic. What followed was a quick exchange of passes between Jan, Cristiano and Cancelo. João Cancelo then sent a cross into the crowded Atletico Madrid box, and Cristiano Ronaldo once again rose highest and connected to the cross, heading it goalward. But Jan Oblak was at full stretch and managed to make a huge save. Or so we thought. In real time, we all definitely missed it. It felt like the Slovenian keeper had palmed the ball out and made an incredible save. But it was no longer the 2010 World Cup when Frank Lampard could get the ball over the line and not be awarded with a goal. Goal line technology, so the referee got a notification on his watch almost instantly. The whole of the ball had completely crossed the goal line, so he awarded the goal. To be fair to Oblak, he did a really good job, but the header from Ronaldo was just so good that despite the keeper's best, he just couldn't keep it out. So, there we were. 2-2 on the night and 4-4 on aggregate. Cristiano Ronaldo had just wiped out Atletico Madrid's advantage and we still had more than 40 minutes of football to play. The man was excited, motivated, and certainly proud of what he had achieved so far. But the job just wasn't done yet. So he still kept things civil and focused on completing the mission. Anyway, seeing as they were now back to square one, the game became very balanced once again. Both teams wanted to win the game, but neither wanted to lose it at this point. So while they were looking to make something happen attacking-wise, they were also being very cautious defensively. In the 82nd minute, Atletico thought they could steal it at the death just like they did in the first leg. Guafran found Angel Correa in the middle of the pitch, and the Argentine began to carry the ball. He was doing a pretty good job getting it close to Juventus's box, but his final pass was not good enough. It was supposed to be for Griezmann, but it only went as far as Chiellini. After that vital interception, the Juventus captain quickly carried the ball forward and launched it towards Moise Kean. Gimenez got ahead to the ball, but it only set it up perfectly for the 19-year-old striker who had just been subbed on.
It's Kean!
Kean came close to winning the tie for Juventus with his very first touch of the game, but he just could not do it. He ended up sending the ball just wide off the mark. It just was not to be. On any other night, Kean would have buried that ball easily, but it just wasn't his story. The scriptwriters had already chosen a protagonist for this story. He started the mission, and it just had to be him who would complete it. But for now, Atletico Madrid fans and players collectively heaved a very huge sigh of relief. We were now in critical territory. The next goal was surely going to win the game, and the next mistake was almost certainly going to be very costly. No one wanted to be the one to make that mistake, but it so happened to be Correa's lot that night. He had chased Bernardeschi from the halfway line all the way into the Atletico Madrid box, and when the Italian went down in the penalty area, the referee wasted no time to point to the spot. In real time, it felt like there was nothing there, but upon replay, it became clear that Bernardeschi's leg was clipped while he was running. Atletico Madrid insisted that that was too soft to give a penalty, especially at this time of the game. They hoped and prayed that VAR would come to their rescue and overturn the penalty, but there was to be no recourse for them. The penalty stood. And who else was going to step up for a high-pressure penalty in the 86th minute of a Champions League knockout game? Of course, it was Cristiano Ronaldo. You really cannot choose a better player in the history of football to be behind that ball at that very moment. He had scored an even bigger penalty against Jan Oblak and Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Champions League final only a few years ago, so this was a piece of cake for him. With this spot kick, Ronaldo had the opportunity to complete his hat-trick and equal the record for most hat-tricks in Champions League history. On top of that, he also had the chance to complete an unlikely comeback for Juventus, dunk on one of his greatest enemies, and exact revenge for what they did and said a couple weeks back in Madrid. He was certainly not going to throw it away. Not this guy. Never this guy.
And put Juve in front.
Once the referee sounded the whistle, he ran up, picked a spot, sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, and sent Juventus straight to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. Atletico Madrid's worst nightmare had struck again. Meanwhile, Juventus's utopian dream had just come to pass. The Allianz Stadium was jumping. They could not believe what they had just witnessed. This was true greatness. This was exactly why the club spent the big money on him. For nights like this, moments like this. Ronaldo's son was in the stadium as well, and even though he had witnessed his dad be a hero so many times in the past, he was still just as shocked and ecstatic as the next guy. 5 minutes of injury time were added, but as expected, Juventus managed to see the game out and hold on to their lead. Soon, the referee blew to end the game and confirm Juventus as winners of the tie. The game was finished, but Cristiano Ronaldo still had one more thing to do. After the final whistle went, Cristiano Ronaldo then decided it was time to complete his mission. He turned to the crowd and recreated the Diego Simeone gesture from the first leg. He made sure to wait until the mission was well and truly over before doing anything funny. Simeone could certainly learn a thing or two from him. You see, Cristiano Ronaldo might be one of the greatest players to have ever kicked a ball, but when it comes to revenge, he is certainly a badass chef. He cooked this one so well and served it on a platter. Was the revenge dish hot? Was it cold? Who knows? What was important was that for Ronaldo and for Juventus, it was certainly sweet. That night, CR7 sent a clear message to Atletico Madrid and the rest of the football world. When you come at the king, you best not miss. Speaking of kings, Zinedine Zidane is definitely football royalty, a true elite, a blue blood. But on one fateful day, with the entire planet watching, this very classy maestro lost his head and let his country down, leaving the whole world shocked and confused. If you want to know the story of what he did and why he did it, click here and I'll tell you all about it.